So this video is going to be a little bit more negative than usual, mainly because you guys probably saw and heard the news about the industry and how in disarray things are right now. We still haven't really completed the very first month of 2024, and we already saw so many different companies actually getting rid of so many people, so many developers, and it's so sad to see in so many ways, right? And I've been there, I can relate to that feeling. It's absolutely horrible, and most likely a lot of junior animators, a lot of people that haven't really been in the industry, even veteran people, must be wondering what's going on. So in this video, I wanted to kind of give you guys my take on some of the events that have been happening, and I think that I need to actually give you guys my take on where the year is going to go from here, and also some of my thoughts about the games industry going forward and why some of these things are taking place right now, because I can definitely see patterns from before and now, and I think that ultimately this is going to be for the better or for the best, but not quite yet. And we're gonna have to endure this pain for a little longer. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now, if you're new to this channel, before I get started, my name is Harvey Newman. I've been in the industry for about 20 plus years now, working in many AAA games over the years, and nowadays I'm focusing on animation consultancy for many different studios, and also I'm actually working on my own game in my own studio, Proxima, right here. And these news that we've been getting every so often are kind of like affecting all of us, right? And I was just talking with a student today from my mentorship. Definitely check it out. I'll leave a link down below so you can find out more. But he was asking me about like what are my thoughts on this like layoffs that are happening right now. It's just the beginning of 2024, so many news, and I kind of wrote down a few of the news, the highlights so far. But just in 2024 in the games industry, and I'll leave a link down below to a website that I use to check the numbers, we've had 5,700 layoffs. And the biggest ones obviously has been the most recent one on Activision Blizzard with 1,900 people being laid off. We also had Riot before then with 530. We had Twitch, even though it's not a publisher or a game developer, but is very connected to games. They had about 500 people from Amazon. And then Unity, right at the beginning of the year, they actually fired 1,800 developers from different companies. Obviously, they don't have to be game developers, but still it's a whole lot of people working in a company that mainly revolves around games. And obviously, you know, even myself, that I like to keep it positive for the most part, alarm bells kind of start going off about what's going on in the games industry. Like, I genuinely haven't seen so many people on my Twitter feed saying, I've lost my job, here's my show reel, please help me find a job. People saying, I am crying and I will actually say more later, but I have lost my job of 5-10 years in such and such company. It's heartbreaking to actually see all those things happening, all these things happening, because like I've been there, even though it was not as such volume as this, but I've been in situations in the industry where you get laid off from a company or the company closes for whatever reason, and it's just not about the job that you lose, even though it's very important, but it's about the team members and your colleagues and the people that you actually hang out with for years and years and years. They became your best friends, they became your family, they became, sometimes relationships emerge from those things, and you spend all these years with the same type of people, going to the same job every single day, seeing the same people, and then all of a sudden you get yanked out of that situation for no fault of your own, and then you have to find a job and you have to start again, and sometimes you have to go somewhere else in order to find that job, that then you have to uproot your family to then go to this place. So it's stressful at so many levels that it's hard to describe how hard that is. All these feelings are going through your mind as you kind of like traverse this emotional roller coaster that you have right now of you being laid off and now facing a position where you now have to find another job, and you kind of hope that you can find something that you enjoy. But sometimes, and I've been in this position, you just have to find a job. Like, it's not about finding the dream job, it's just about to finding a job. It's horrible in a big way, mainly because you've been working your way up. So if you actually, like some of these companies that like Activision or Blizzard or Unity, that you actually worked your way up in the industry to get to these places, and you think, they are the top of the top, so I'm now safe, I'm now good, I'm now like, this is going to be me for the rest of my career. Now I'm basically saying, like, nope, you need to find another job somewhere else, and you have to try to find a job of the same caliber that you enjoy as much, that you're as passionate as much. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's incredibly difficult to find that. And then there's also the developers that, just like I found myself in the last few years, this illusion with the AAA industry as it is right now, and perhaps want to venture into the more indie studios that perhaps seem more appealing from a creative, from a being more hands-on kind of like path, right? So there's lots of different things happening at an emotional level with every single individual that has been going through this. So my thoughts are with you, and I hope you actually make through this. I haven't seen so many animators losing a job, animators that have incredible talent, that it's hard to see that somebody with that level of talent actually get dismissed from a job. Having said all these things, and even though they sound really, really negative, which they are, obviously, I do think that the games industry as a whole is 100% going through a change. And I think this change is going to be for the positive, for the better, on the long run, but we're still going through it right now. I kind of hope that 2024 gets better and we just get it out of our system, and then, for the next few months is the opposite, right? We start seeing more investment, more hiring, more things happening that are really good. But I do think that what we're going through right now is basically a symptom of many things that have happened over the last few years that then got us to this point that we are right now. And I think the industry keeps expanding, right? For the last maybe 5-10 years, kept expanding all the time. And I do think that a lot of studios, a lot of companies out there almost saw it as like a ever-evolving, like no limit kind of situation where the industry keeps getting more and more money, keeps getting more and more people, the games get more and more expensive, and they take longer and longer to make. And I think at some point, this bubble had to burst at some point to kind of like not only go back to quality games made by teams that are not like humongous, and also are original, or at least that's where I hope the industry is heading. If you actually go by what has happened with games as of the last maybe 3 to 5 years, is that I feel like gamers now more than ever want games how they used to be before. So It Takes Two won Game of the Year. That was a couch co-op that people had a lot of fun, and people saw so much originality because of how the game was made. So major kudos to Hazelight. But in all honesty, way back in the day, Super Nintendo days, there were already many games that were couch co-op, and we were having lots of fun, most famously GoldenEye, right? And this is basically where the most fun was. And then just this year, obviously Baldur's Gate actually won Game of the Year, rightfully so. And the thing that they did that was the best, obviously out of many achievements they made, was that they actually created a full game, fully fledged, that you can just buy once and then play it, and then obviously there's a few bugs here and there that can be ironed out, but for the most part the game is finished and you can go from beginning to end without having to actually download any DLCs or 0-day patches or anything like that. And that is very, very positive to me, at least, because it feels like we are going full circle and we are truly understanding what's the most important thing for gamers, which is very much having a game that is just single and whole and really well put together with a lot of care. And you don't need a huge team to make those things. You just need a dedicated, passionate team to make those things. And in a big part, like, I know I don't want to bring Proxima into this because it's nothing to do with my company, but the reason why I started Proxima is because I started to feel the need after many, many years of start creating a game with a team that I felt passionate about and rallying against something that we could actually have a saying on the direction, the creativity, how things get made. And I kind of started to miss things. And if I look back at my career, I can definitely see a path where when I started, I had a much bigger saying, even as a junior animator, on how the game got made, how certain mechanics were made, because the teams were much smaller, you had to do much more, but there was a lot of creativity in there, there was a lot of excitement in there. And as the years have progressed, it has become a thing of like, you work on a game that is a live service and you are there to support the live service, and then you just do the same things over and over again, and basically the game is made and there's not a lot of that you can port creatively to a game, which is great if you actually are fond of that. But after a while, me as a creative, I feel like I have to start creating something from nothing in order to see where it goes from there, where it flourishes from there. So to me, even though what's happening right now is absolutely terrible, and I feel for everybody that is actually like losing their jobs, and I hope they get a new job very, very soon, and a better job and much more fulfilling. All this pain that we're going through right now is pain that will actually take us to a much better place in the future. And I do think that that place that will be like super ideal, at least for me in the future, and hopefully most of you, is going to be all those indie games, all those AA games that of the world that actually kind of like shine light onto like what's amazing and original and possible in the industry. And I think the AAA status of studios are going to look much more like what Larian Studios is doing right now with Baldur's Gate. And much less like the conglomerate of studios that are starting to come together to create a much bigger, much like better game. I think that we are slowly moving away from getting like multiple studios creating one IP in order to actually kind of be able to complete it within a certain time. And I think we're going to kind of like shrink so we can have more focus on quality instead of quantity, as we've been doing for the last few years. So that, I think, is positive for all gamers out there. Probably give us a lot more variety. And then ultimately, you know, do you remember the days where there was no like specific genres that games had to fit in? So Parappa the Rapper, Jet Set Radio, all these games, Crazy Taxi, all these games, they were just like games, right? Like, where would you fit Parappa the Rapper, the game, now? It's very difficult, right? It's like, it's just a game, a musical game maybe? Or what would you fit Jet Set Radio? Like action adventure with music? I don't know. But in those times, because of not being pigeonholed, there was a sense of creativity and freedom, and just like, you know, you just make a game that is fun. That's all that it was. And I think that's what gamers are asking for right now. That's what developers want to work right now. And I think that's what we're heading in the future. Instead of having games that basically follow the same pattern, or having the same mechanics, or have to have the certain things that are basically hooks gamers in order for them to stay. It's all about the journey and playing the game and making sure that you have fun. So this is basically the positive take that I take on this whole situation, which I think will definitely pay off. Give it another 2 or 3 years from now. But until then, I hope everybody that is watching this, everybody that is going through tough times, understands that it's going to be a rough ride for the next few years, few months, hopefully, you know, hopefully it's going to be more short than long. But I think at the end of this, the light is going to be bright, and the games are going to be better, and the industry is going to look back at this and is going to understand that this was perhaps a dark period of time, and there was a lot of lessons that needed to be learned from things that we should not repeat again going forward, in order to make sure that the industry is sustainable and make sure that developers and players both have fun and everybody wins, right? Having that sustainability and having teams that stay together for multiple games, also absolutely amazing. Anyways, I hope this hopefully gives you a glimpse of hope for the future of the industry. For everybody that is out there trying to get into the games industry, do not worry. There's always going to be studios looking for juniors, studios looking for interns. We absolutely have a chance to get into the industry. It's not like the doors are shut now, impossible. There's always going to be studios looking for people. And what happens is that where there is studios shutting down with lots of incredibly talented people coming out, there's going to be other studios out there that are going to be like, bonus, we really needed this talent and now we have access to it. So let's bring this talent over here. So things just move around, and you as an outsider trying to get into the industry will also have your opportunity out there sooner rather than later. That's all I had to say. I hope that made sense. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've been affected by these layoffs or are looking for a job and you find it difficult, Comment down below and let me know about your experience. Happy to comment, happy to answer, and help you in any ways. Until the next video, stay well, stay safe. Peace.